Hi, my name is Lydia Kostopoulos, and I'm a strategy and emerging technologies advisor with a deep passion for body data tracking and human performance. All in the pursuit of feeling great and having as much energy as possible to pursue the things that fill me with joy and purpose. This interview series is about discovering how others have created and are curating their personal healthy aging protocol, one that aligns with their values and the person that they desire to be and become. I hope you find it to be of interest. Let's dive in. And so I thought I'd kick off the series with my healthy aging protocol. My healthy aging protocol really stems from a desire to be able to do whatever it is I want to do at a later point in my life. So I don't know what my 60-year-old self or 70 or 80 or 90 and hopefully 100-year-old self will want to do, but I want to be able to set the conditions to be able to have those options available to me from a body perspective and a cognitive perspective as well. And so I think of what are the things I need to do to be able to have those kinds of options. In that sense, I see my healthy aging protocol like defined by setting conditions by design. And it has many different pillars, and I'll go over each pillar. So I've got the neuromusculoskeletal pillar, and then I've got the sleep and recovery pillar, and then I've got the food and nutrition pillar, and then I've got the hormone pillar, the cardiovascular pillar, the brain cognitive, mental and emotional pillar, and the oral hygiene, the oral gum pillar. And these are kind of the main premise of kind of how I see my healthy aging protocol. And a lot of them intertwine. And what I've noticed talking to others about their healthy aging protocol is that everybody comes from it, from their life experience, the things that they've been exposed to, the people that they are, the cultures they come from, their upbringing. And what I found with my healthy aging protocol is that that's true for me too. So I have a PhD, and I didn't realize how much my PhD studies and the methodologies I learned for research were going to be used later on in my life as part of my healthy aging protocol. And I can't help but bring that academic side of me into my personal healthy aging protocol. So I read a lot, and based on what I read, I also interact with experts, and I start to modify, have hypotheses, experiment, and then that looks like downstream as things that are woven in, designed into my routines or into my lifestyle. And so that's kind of like my regular cycle of how I incorporate new things. So the sleep pillar is basically the pillar dedicated to all things sleep. That was my first kind of gateway into creating a healthy aging protocol. And it started with reading Arianna Huffington's book about sleep and trying to tweak my own sleep and getting like the lighting to be just right and getting the right pajamas. And then that kind of morphed into what it is today with the blackout curtains, with the performance sheets, the performance pajamas. When needed, I use the eye mask and earplugs, and I've got a mattress that's like cooling, and I just love the space that the sleep world is getting into. And I hope one day to have an AI kind of mattress as well. And then from a food and nutrition perspective, that pillar is a constantly growing and evolving journey, which I super enjoy. And again, with lots of books. The latest one I'm really into is by Brendan Brazier, and I love how he talks about net gain and basically how much energy can food give you. So that's the net gain part. And so I'm really excited about exploring that. So nutritiously dense with high net gain. And I love experimenting and trying different foods, and also bringing that into a ritual. Like, how can I have nutritiously dense food across the day? It's definitely a challenge, but I try to figure out where I can just make it as part of my routine. And the one that I'm happiest with right now is my morning breakfast routine. I just do it without thinking, which for me personally is really helpful because throughout the day, there's so many decisions I'm making all the time. And I love it when I've established a routine where I don't have to think, and that cognitive load is lifted from my plate. so the food part also relates to the neuromuscular skeletal part, as I'm trying to figure out what's the right way to eat, fuel, and exercise. And I'm looking at books that are specifically focused to women. So understanding how I should be eating, fueling, and exercising based on my moment in my hormonal life cycle. And so it's been really helpful to learn about that and try to experiment to see how I can be my best self. And the muscles part is really important because I definitely am conscious about the aging process of muscles and losing muscle in the future. And I know that women have a precipitous decline after menopause, and my goal is to try and build as much muscle as possible before then, and obviously continue after that point. And so I'm working with a physiotherapist and trying to make sure that my posture is aligned, because as my physiotherapist says, that working on the computer is an occupational hazard that affects posture and the back and the glute muscles and a whole bunch of things. And so in that journey, I've gotten custom insoles, 3D printed insoles that have really helped with my posture. And I'm doing exercises that support my posture. And then I'm trying to build in the ones that are building muscles. To that end, I track my muscle mass, and I do so with smart scales. And I really subscribe to the idea that if you don't measure something, you can't manage something. And so I've been tracking my muscle and seeing how my work and my travels actually impact my muscle growth trajectory. And that kind of gives me a lot of food for thought about how I need to be designing my life so that I can continue to maintain that growth and not go backwards. And then from a neuro perspective, I find that, so I try to be really aware of my body. And I think that that's been very helpful to me to kind of like pinpoint when something feels off and go and get help. And so from a neurological perspective, I found that when I get too excited and work out a bit too hard, and it usually happens at one moment in time in the cycle, and it's at the end of the follicular phase where testosterone is high and estrogen is high, and I feel like I can do anything. And then I start to continue my reps with poor form because I just got so much energy that I need to do. And so I found that between that and the computer bad posture, that sometimes that can then squeeze and press against my neurons. And so I have a chiropractor who kind of helps me with that when I do too much exercise and get things all like crunched up. So those are kind of some things I do, and I continue to explore the intersection between all of those things. And I do so, again, from a very academic perspective, where I'm reading books and articles, and then I'm talking to experts, and I'm trying things out. And then this also kind of relates to the cardiovascular part. That's something I've taken quite a bit of an interest in, because I looked at my whole genome analysis DNA results, and I saw some DNA items related to cardiovascular health. And I read a book, Peter Attia's Outlive, and he talked about how one could posture their cardiovascular plan. And so that's something I looked into, and I'm tracking VO2 max, cholesterol, LPA, ApoB, all the things that he said. And I'm hoping to see a cardiologist and talk to them about kind of that version of kind of preventative health and looking at that ahead of time. Particularly as from the hormonal health perspective, which is overlaps, I expect to be in perimenopause in around a decade. And so I really want to make sure that I'm doing whatever it is possible to posture my cardiovascular system as well as possible for that hormonal transition that's going to happen. And so the hormonal pillar, I'm looking at the metabolic health, and because I menstruate, I am looking into menstrual health. I've read an amazing book called Period Power, which has really started me on my self-tracking journey. And that journey started in COVID. And 3 years later, I've created a menstrual cycle micro journal that I think is beautiful because I made it for me. And so I track everything around like how I'm feeling every day based on how am I feeling in terms of sleep, my mood, my body observations, and just in kind of general, my food appetite. I noticed that those four things alternate throughout the cycle. And it's been really helpful to me to have more agency over my body and know better what's happening because I was able to see patterns over time. And I've combined that with the wearable data. I wear 3 wearables, and it helps me kind of see different patterns and understand my body better. And so I'm looking to engage with more healthcare professionals around kind of creating a preventative mitigation plan around the adversities that happen around perimenopause and menopause. And so that's kind of a journey I'm excited that I'm on. And then from the oral dental perspective, that's something that I've taken to at a young age. I had braces, and I just was aware that one needed to take care of their teeth. But I've also seen research about how important it is for health, cognitive health, and gut health, and just in general aging. And so I've been speaking to my dentist and trying to understand what it is I could do better for my dental health. And so I've incorporated flossing more regularly, and then they told me I needed to do interdental brushing. So I've incorporated that into. I also have the water pick, and then following some other people in the longevity space, they talked about tongue scraping, and I thought I would incorporate that in as well. And then the regular kind of like checkups and hygiene appointments. And so I am proactive about that part as well. And then finally, the part about the pillar of the brain, cognitive, mental, and emotional health, that's like a really important one. And for me, I see those like 4 components in one, and I see each component as overlapping, unique, and overlapping with the others. And I think part of my view in seeing that is working with special operations and seeing the POTIF office, the Preservation of the Force and Family, where they have separated these different elements. And I think it makes a lot of sense. And so from the brain perspective, it's around like brain health and maintaining like eating well, and then like focusing on not getting concussions. And the cognitive health is really around like learning. And so there's this one book I read on the aging, neurological aging aspects. And the neuroscientists explained that cognitive health can be maintained by actually just, exercising your brain and keeping it active, like reading new things, learning new things, and that one can create cognitive reserve by doing that throughout their life that would help posture themselves for later on in life. And well, lucky for me, I love learning all the time. So I do that. And then the mental and emotional health. So for the mental health part, I see that in terms of like my mindsets, and I cultivate an abundance mindset, a longevity mindset, and a gratitude mindset. Those are like the key mindsets I cultivate. And those mindsets really help me kind of see the world through those lenses. So the abundance, like that there's a world of opportunity and possibility all the time. And I bring that attitude and mindset in the work I do and the consulting I do as well, not just in my personal life. And gratitude mindset, being grateful all the time for what it is I do have. So then the longevity mindset is really thinking through the lens of longevity, that I will be living longer. And I think when people realize that we are living longer, they'll say, well, how should I better take care of my body, like so that when I'm 80 and 90, that it's going to be in a condition that I want it to be in to live the life I want to live at that time. And then the emotional perspective, to me, that is around purpose and community and the people in my life. And I subscribe to the idea that we are not just ourselves alone, and we don't create our identity alone, that a lot of who we are and how we see ourselves is based on our communities and the people that we interact with, the things that we support and are a part of and do. And so to that end, I've tried to cultivate relationships with people who share these kinds of perspectives and communities that give me purpose. And I also see my work as part of my emotional and mental health. And so many years ago, I was in a situation where I was experiencing bullying and microaggressions in my workplace. And it really affected my emotional and mental health. And so I left that job because I realized that it was taking a toll on my health and it wasn't going to get better. And so I do see work as an important part of mental and emotional health, because we spend so much time in our professional worlds. And so I do think that they are a part of my healthy aging protocol. And so that kind of, in a nutshell, is all the pillars. So what I try to do then is keep those things in mind, and then I try to incorporate them in my daily life. So an example of that is I read about reports around cardiovascular health and how living in walking cities is actually really good for your heart health. And so I have strived to live in walking cities and walking neighborhoods, because it's one of those default by design. You set the condition and you're living that life that you want to live that's healthy. So that's kind of that approach that I took on that. And then in terms of like food, another example of that is not buying things that I shouldn't eat. And so at home, I don't have anything that I could binge on that would be bad for me. And so I've created a situation where I can't make that bad decision. And that was kind of helpful. Things I'm working on right now in terms of setting conditions by design is I'm trying to figure out how I can be more efficient and optimized with my exercise and muscle building. So from the nutrition side, how much protein should I be having? When should I be having it? And how should I be changing that across my menstrual cycle? Follicular phase and luteal phase, and how should that look different? And then from the exercise side of that, I'm trying to design like, okay, again, throughout the menstrual cycle, like what are the types of exercises that are going to help me build muscle during the follicular phase versus the luteal phase? And Stacy Sims' book, Roar, has really helped me in that sense, because she's an expert on the physiology of women in sports. And she talks about how training in the follicular phase is where more gains can be made compared to the luteal phase. And so I've been trying to see how I can design routines across the cycle, so then it just kind of becomes habit. It's a lot easier said than done, but it's a journey that I enjoy experimenting with and trying new things out. And then with sleep, I think that routine for me has been like really great to unwind. But as much as I've got like all of that set, the parts that I don't have set are really like just shutting down the computer or putting the phone away. So I'm trying to figure out how to design that in. But otherwise, this is my healthy aging protocol. It's based on a lot of data and tracking, and I love it. And it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I have more agency. And in the next interview series you're going to see, you'll see that everyone has their own approach, and it's so amazing to hear how people are approaching it differently and how they're taking initiative to design and curate their own healthy aging protocol. So I really hope that you enjoy this series, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. You can reach me on LinkedIn or on Twitter X or Instagram, or on my website, lkcyber.com, or for consultingabundance.studio. And of course, this series has its own website. It's projectnof1.com. So yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I hope you enjoy this series. Thank you. This series is meant to capture personal stories of individual healthy aging protocols and is for informational purposes only, and it does not constitute providing medical advice or professional services. Those seeking personal medical advice should consult with a licensed healthcare practitioner.